I love flowers. I love the smell. I love the colors. They make me happy. And when thinking about, what I wanted to do for flower arranging, I turned to my most recent favorite book for flower arranging, and it is Sandra Sigman's book, French Blooms. And I had the pleasure of meeting her last year in Newport, Rhode Island, and I've really enjoyed reading this book. And today I'm going to make her flower recipe for La vie est belle, which means life is beautiful.
As the granddaughter of a gardener, I learned to appreciate fresh food from a young age. Now with my own garden in the city, it's time to plant. As a registered dietitian, I'm inspired by the food I'm able to grow. I'll share my tips on how to be a nutritional cook and make homegrown the star of my recipes. Learning from educational resources, friends, and some wise seasoned veterans, I seek to uncover the secrets of gardening. Here's a look inside Sandra Sigman's store, Les Fleurs, located in Andover, Massachusetts. Inside you'll find loads of treasures from France and so many unique pieces. Check out the beautiful flowers all out on display. Available for you to bring your own vase and make your own bouquet the French way.
Okay, so the first things we need for this recipe are a container, which I'm going to use this ceramic vase that I just had in the house. We need a 3-inch flower frog, and so I had never heard of a flower frog before Sandra's book and her flower lesson. But so this is a flower frog, and I could see why they call it that, and it has holes in it, and it sits at the bottom of the vase. And I've never actually used this before. I did buy this at Sandra's store, but I actually had really never seen these before. So I thought that was really interesting. So I am going to use this for the first time, so hopefully it goes well. And then the other thing is Floral Putty. So again, I've never used this before when I've made a flower arrangement. So this is Floral Putty. It's just like this green, silly putty looking stuff. So I'm going to use that too. Okay, so I've emptied out the vase, and now I'm going to attempt to secure my flower frog using this putty. So it says secure the flower frog. Stick the putty. Okay, so I have my frog is going in. Okay, now let's put the water back in. We're using room temperature water because we don't want to shock the flowers, so we just need room temperature. The next thing is we need to add flower food. And I actually never knew the purpose of adding flower food before reading this book. But flower food apparently helps the flowers from growing bacteria, which totally makes sense because usually, if you leave your flowers and the bottom of the water starts to get all gross and icky, this, I guess, helps prevent that. So that makes a lot of sense. And actually in the book, Sandra gives a recipe for how to make your own flower food from bleach, and vinegar, and I think there's one other thing. But for today, they gave me the flower food when I bought the flowers, so I will just use the one that they came with. So I'm going to put that in. Okay, it calls for lamb's ear or sage, and I had sage at my garden. So I cut a bunch of sage that's in here somewhere. It also calls for ivy. I didn't have that, so we're gonna leave that out. 5 pale peach garden roses. I definitely have a lot of peach roses. These aren't garden roses, but it was all they had at the store. I actually have some David Austin roses in my garden, but they're not ready yet. Probably a couple more weeks until they bloom. The other thing that it calls for is pink garden roses. Again, I didn't have pink garden roses, so we're skipping that. And ivory taupe garden roses. Also didn't have those. And 5 pale pink bud roses, and I do have the bud roses. So I did get Lisianthus, which I think looks really nice, and I picked Lilac from my own garden, which smells amazing. It smells so good in here. So I didn't have everything, but I have enough that I think I'm going to make something really nice. So I have Lisianthus, I have peach roses. These are 24-inch stem roses. I have sage from my garden. I have lilac from my garden. And I have these little, you can't see them, but I have little white bud roses back here. You stick to 3 colors. So our colors are going to be peachy pink, white, and purple. The other thing I love about Sandra's book is it's completely French inspired. So I love the look of the French design of flowers and the natural kind of elements to it. Versus, you know, when we go to the store, I know what I used to do is just get a dozen roses, right? And you just went boop and put them all in a container, a vase, and that was it. But flower arranging can be so much more than that, which I think is so cool. And it can have, a piece can have so much movement depending on which flowers you put in. And my favorite thing that I totally agree with is don't use humdrum flowers. And by humdrum flowers, we're talking about baby's breath, daisies, things that are just massively grown, and there's so much of it, and it's just not unique. So the rules I took were stick to 3 colors and to use unique varieties like these different types of roses, and bring in elements like lilac or other things that you can get from your own garden. We've secured our flower frog with Floral Putty. It also calls for, after you put in the flower frog, to add chicken wire. And again, that leaves kind of a stability to put your flowers into, but I didn't have chicken wire. I didn't have a lot of things today, but I really wanted to make this, so we're making do with what we have. And so I have the flower frog, but I don't have the chicken wire in the vase. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is add our greenery. Our greenery is going to be our sage from my garden. And I always have so much sage, but I never know what to do with it. And honestly, I never really thought to put it in a floral arrangement. So this is the sage from my garden. Oops. Whoa. My flower frog is floating. I probably didn't put the putty quite right. Okay, I think we'll be fine. Okay, so in goes sage. Insert smells so good in here. I've already cut the very ends off of all the flowers. Oops. They just start flying everywhere. Okay. So there's some of our greenery. And then I also have this greenery that I'm going to use is actually the leaves of the lilac plant. So I'm going to use this as my greenery. And you could use anything as greenery. Eucalyptus is really pretty, but I today am using my lilac tree that I have in my backyard. We're going to add in the roses and layer them throughout the greenery. And it says, give every bloom its own space. Okay. So I'm going to come in with the roses. I might have to trim these down. No, actually, I think that height is good. I love this color peach. When you're doing your roses, you're going to trim off all the leaves that are below the water level because those will start to cause bacteria and your flowers will go bad faster. So that is something new that I learned. Let's snip that off. Okay. And this flower frog is working perfect. I'm just sliding all the roses right into it. Alright, now I'm going to come in with, these are the littler, one broke. These are the littler tea roses that I bought. You can see them, they're very small. And they look really pretty against the peach. This one broke, so we'll get a little vase to put this one in. Can you see me still? This vase is going to be bigger than me. So this is a Lisianthus. It's kind of this pretty white flower. It kind of brings something different. So the other big thing that Sandra talks about in the book is using seasonal varieties. In France, they don't, import things when they're not in season. So they mostly use seasonal varieties. And so, even though the Olivia Bell recipe didn't call for lilac, I think it was very French inspired to add a seasonal element, which is why I added the lilac to this. And I think it looks really nice. I'm trying to find out how high this arrangement is supposed to be in comparison to the vase. Oh, it's either 2/3 or 1/3, and I can't remember. I think it's 2/3. I think we're gonna do a little bit more lilac. I kind of like how the lilac hangs over the edges. Kind of gives it that more whimsical look. I'm just trying to go back around and see where I have any blank spaces, like right here. Here's the finished product. La vie est belle. I would say so. It's pretty beautiful, I think. and not that hard to do. So hope this inspired you to make something beautiful.